All right, welcome to the Huddle. This is a new weekly sports talk show that invites you to join the conversation. I'm Jason Barr, joined by Pat Parris, and we'll have our special guest, former Arizona quarterback BJ Denker, up in just a bit. But the show brought to you by Desert Diamond Casino, and you can watch every Thursday at 3 on the KGUN 9 Facebook and Twitter pages. You can weigh in with comments. We'll listen to your questions and answer them. You can ask questions simply, or just watch the show live and or on demand on the KGUN app, on Roku, Fire TV, or your favorite streaming service. All right, Pat. So certainly the big topic right now as far as sports in Tucson, University of Arizona football. They're going to try to get a win this week against San Diego State. Let's first touch on last week's game before we get to this week. I think really there were three parts to the game. There was everything before the Trayvon Mason safety, where the Wildcats were down 21-3 and took them a while to get going. You had the Mason safety, which led to the Tavion Cunningham kick return and then the touchdown. They were down 21-13, and then Gunnar Cruz took the sack, the missed field goal, and then that's where the momentum changed again for the third part of the game, in which BYU kind of got their footing back and took over and won the game. What did you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that, Jason. I think part of it as well is the slow start for Arizona offensively. Just couldn't, he couldn't really get much going either. No sustained drives. I think that was unfortunate. And as you know, as well as anybody, I'm not a big, guy that says, okay, well, there are moral victories. I don't think that's what you take out of this. I think what you take out of this is you've got a young team that has room to improve, and we'll see. They always say you make the biggest jump between week 1 and week 2. Let's see if the Arizona Wildcats can make that big jump and get a win and end this awful 13-game losing streak.
Yeah, I know you don't like moral victories, Pat, but they did pass the eye test to me. And so what do I mean by that? Only 19 yards in penalties. You didn't see Gunnar Cruz come to the line of scrimmage and have to call timeout because he's just confused. You didn't see the defense having to do that as well. To me, they fought the whole game and they passed the eye test. If they weren't going to win that game, you understand they haven't won in a while, first game, but I like the way they looked for going forward.
No, I agree. They passed the eye test. I'm looking forward to that improvement, as I said. And, I also was not in favor of two quarterbacks, and still am not in favor of two quarterbacks. And I just wonder what might have been had Gunnar Cruz gotten, 85 or 90% of the snaps from spring ball into the training camp and then into this first game versus, some combination of him and Will Plummer splitting those reps in practice time. But only time will tell if he can kind of make up that gap of not having all those snaps that he potentially could have had but he'd been named the starter from right out of the gate.
All right, speaking of quarterbacks, let's bring in this week's season back in 2013 and led the Wildcats to a big win over Boston College in the Independence Bowl, and really play the position as well as anybody did late in the year, according to then head coach Rich Rodriguez. BJ, thank you so much for joining us here on the Huddle.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, so we want to get your thoughts. Certainly, you were a quarterback here at Arizona on the quarterback situation. Gunnar Cruz, you look at his stats, 34 out of 45, 336 yards, a touchdown and an interception. What was your assessment of the way Gunnar Cruz played for the Wildcats on Saturday?
First of all, the biggest number that jumps out to me is the completion percentage, right? So 75% completion percentage. That's huge. I was really proud of the way he was able to be accurate with the football, and not just accurate in terms of completion percentage or stats, but ball placement. A lot of the balls that were thrown were away from defenders. They were in areas of opportunity where the receiver can catch the ball and make plays with their feet after the catch. So I thought that was the biggest thing, was how he was accurate and decisive with his throws and his decisions.
BJ, let's be honest. When you have Jedd Fisch as your head coach, he's also going to take a real strong interest in the quarterback play, and
right.
and he does. And I think one of the things that I was happy with and pleased to see, BYU just took away the deep ball. They even took away kind of the medium ball. That was their whole goal. Don't get past our defense. I like the way that Jedd Fisch and Gunnar Cruz were able to kind of figure out a way to dump the ball off. And of course, we saw a great success when they decided to do that.
I completely agree. That was another one of my notes that I read. I thought he was great with his eyes, and I thought he was very patient. One of the things that we read about going through spring and through fall camp, obviously I wasn't there, was Gunnar's he liked to throw the ball downfield, take shots, but wasn't really necessarily willing to dump it. And BYU was not bringing a lot of pressure on early downs and coming out of the field. And so he had to trust his reads and trust his eyes and trust his line and dump off the ball to running backs and underneath coverage. And I thought he did really well with that.
BJ, you actually had to win a quarterback battle back in 2013. You were battling with a couple of other players. What's that like, and how much of a challenge is that for a quarterback at the U of A or any college to have to go in and win a quarterback battle like that? And in the case here, you were the starting quarterback, but Gunnar Cruz actually wasn't completely. He was going with a 2-quarterback situation, or at least that's what he said. What type of challenge does that pose for a quarterback?
Right. Actually, I've been in a quarterback battle before where I had to split reps at my junior college before transferring to U of A. So I've actually been on both sides of the coin. First of all, your first question on how is it to be in a quarterback battle? I think it's great for the position at quarterback, competitively and mentally. I think it drives you. The saying iron sharpens iron. I think when you have a guy battling with you like Gunnar had with Will, and it was neck and neck, I think that drives you, it pushes you and motivates you to be a better football player. Football and the game of in the position of quarterback, there's going to be pressure. So I thought that was huge. I tweeted about it. I'm not a big fan of 2-quarterback systems. Being in one, I did not like it. I eventually won the job week 3. But Jed Fish knows a lot more about football than I do, and he made the right decision. And obviously, it looked like Gunnar won the position battle in the game.
Kind of give us, BJ, kind of an overview of how this team has to improve from week 1 to week 2 in your eyes, and the direction that you see them going against San Diego State and the rest of the season. How can this team come together, and how good can they be?
I think Jed talked about it. Coach Fish, talked about it the best is the red zone has got to improve, right? That was the biggest negative that I saw with Gunnar and with our offense, is just not being efficient in the red zone. 3 of his mistakes were in red zone or short field situations. He took 2 bad sacks and he threw a pick, and he's got to clean that up. But, it's his first game that he ever started. And when you get in the red zone, things get tighter, the pressure gets brought. So that window of opportunity is going to shrink. So I think once he gets more comfortable and more reps, the offense is going to perform a little bit better in the red zone. I think that's the biggest key. You got to get points when you're down there. As for, what the season may hold, I think a lot of people were pleasantly surprised with how we played, even though we lost. So if I think we can trend in that same direction, and improve week in, week out, I think that's the best thing that we can do.
And by the way, you can weigh in with comments here on the Huddle, our new weekly sports talk show on the K-Gun Facebook and Twitter pages, as well as on streaming services. So if you do want to ask a question or come in with a comment, we will answer it. You'll also be our first comment because this is our first show. So we're all kind of getting the hang of it here. Presented by Desert Diamond Casino. Here with K-Gun 9's Pat Parris. I'm Jason Barr. We're talking with BJ Denker. BJ, when you see a quarterback who's 6'5" with arm strength, does that scream potential? What type of potential do you see in Gunnar Cruz?
Yeah, he's talented, right? And he's a scholarship quarterback, right? He went to Washington State, who threw the ball a million times, threw for 1 million yards. So obviously he was recruited for his arm talent and his ability to throw the football. So that's great because you can't teach size like that, and you can't teach arm strength. I was really impressed with his feet. Like I said, in the pocket, being patient. He wasn't scattered or he wasn't nervous when there was pressure. But also he picked up 3 or 4 first downs with his feet. He extended plays outside of the pocket, and he was accurate with the football, moving his feet. And I had never seen Gunnar play a snap or a practice, and so that really surprised me. And it was really a big positive that he has the ability to be a dual threat and keep plays alive with his feet.
BJ, one more thing for me, and this has to do with the Jed Fish influence on this program, and not just the team itself, but on the campus in the city of Tucson. He's trying to get the stadium filled. Right now, there's 35,000 tickets sold for this first game. The old saying is, you win and the crowds will come, I guess.
Right.
But it would be nice to see, especially the student body, really show up for this team.
Yeah, I agree. That's one thing where me and the fans disagree. I get comments all the time. Well, if they won more, we would come. It's late, 7:30 games. I don't see any excuses for U of A basketball, right? And I know the type of echelon program is different, but they haven't won very, very much in the last 3 years, and that place is sold out all the time. it's got to start with the team, but we need help from the fans, right? Not only to get home field advantage, to make a difference when the team comes on the road, but also in recruiting, which is going to help us get better year in, year out. When we bring in recruits, they need to see the Zona Zoo packed. They need to see the stadium packed. So it goes hand in hand. So yeah, if we win, they'll come. But why don't you, if you're a diehard, if you want to see this program make a change, come out and witness the tide turn for the program.
All right, he's a great follow on Twitter at BJ Denker. BJ, thank you so much for a few minutes here on our first digital show here on KGUN 9, the ABC station here in Tucson, the Huddle, with Pat and myself. So we appreciate you taking a few minutes and talking U of A football and the quarterback situation, and we'll talk to you down the road, hopefully after the Wildcats have had a few wins.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. I'd love to be back on anytime you guys want me.
All right, BJ.
Thank you so much. Yep. All right, Pat. We'll talk a little bit more U of A football here. Jed Fish's news conference today, and then finish it up. Probably we should mention the Lute Olson Memorial on Sunday and talk a little bit about that. It was funny today in the news conference. Jed Fish said that he was going to stop by for some fraternities and drop off some gear. But the G in the New Jersey accent that Jed Fish and I have, by the way, he's from Livingston, New Jersey. I'm from West Orange. So if we sound nasally, that's why. Door. The G sounded like a B for a split second. We thought he said he was going to drop by some fraternities and drop off some beer. But I think his gear, I don't know if he meant white towels or whatever. But boy, he was selling the program again.
Yep.
Again, here in the news conference today, he's talking about 5% of the population to get to 50-something thousand. You mentioned that there are 35,000 here. I think they'll get a good walk-up crowd. The high school stadiums were packed here in Tucson this past Friday. College stadiums have been packed. People haven't been there for 2 years. I know it's hot. I don't want to tailgate at 6 p.m. It's too hot. But I want to get there and I want to watch the game and I want to see them win for the first time in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you got to show up and support the team. By the way, we got a couple of bear downs and what she said, bear downs. And there's one. Aubrey says bear down. We had a Lindsay who said bear down. Yeah, what she said, bear down. And then our old friend Steve Swinehart jumps on here and says good show. So we thank them all for watching on this live stream. But yeah, BJ's right. This team needs the support. They don't need to wait for them to win, 3 or 4 games, then start showing up. And it's a great time, Jason. It really is. And I can't wait. You're going to talk about it, I think, tonight at 10 o'clock. I can't wait.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
These traditions that Jed Fish wants to start. I'm all for that. I think, we love traditions, especially in sports. That's kind of the sports fans, that's your base, right? Having those traditions. So we'll see if they take off.
Yeah, so I believe his name is DJ Scooter. I hope I'm getting that right. He's going to have a live DJ come from, I believe, California. This DJ is coming from. There's going to be a DJ in the Zona Zoo. The players are going to be in a cage before the game on the field. I don't know if I heard that right. It takes me back to Don Brown's comment about how they want them to be competing animals. I guess they're taking that literally.
Maybe that's it. That's it.
So we know one issue has been fans leaving in the third quarter. They're going to have a couple things in the third quarter to try to prevent that. There's going to be you know this better than I am as an alum, one of the songs, the Red Blue song or whatever. Yeah. And then the Kenny Chesney song. There's a Kenny Chesney song where he talks about Tucson. Yep. They're not going with the Paul McCartney song. They're going with the Kenny Chesney song. He sings about Tucson. That's just a couple of them. And there was one tradition that Jed Fish said he wanted to start the most this week, and of course that's winning. But he is reaching out and doing everything he can. So give Jed Fish credit for that. He's won the off season.
Lisa says soon to be Pac-12 champs. I hope so. If not this year, not too far off in the future. We'll see the Wildcats finally make it to the Rose Bowl, Jason. That's of course always the goal.
Yeah. All right. So I think, Pat, we should talk a little bit about before we wrap up here. Sunday. This is a huge weekend. I mean,
it really is.
My goodness, they're going to be, you got the football team with a home opener. It's the 9/11 20th anniversary. And then on Sunday, we're going to remember and give a respectful goodbye to Lute Olson, a public one. Certainly he had his private one with his family and everything a year ago, but it's been over a year now since he passed, and they couldn't do a public memorial last year because it was COVID and it wasn't safe. But indoors with masks. It's safe now. And we know Steve Kerr is going to be there. He's going to be the honorary captain of the football game on Friday. He's going to be there on Sunday morning, and we're going to get to say goodbye. And, as somebody who, is from here and went to the U of A, I think you could talk a little bit about just what Lute Olson meant and how he made the city feel like winners with everything he accomplished here.
Yeah, and not only made the city feel like winners, with a basketball team that won a national championship, but I think he gave people kind of a different perspective of their own hometown and of Tucson that made people believe that we meant something, especially on a national scale, when it comes to sports. Tucson always has to take second fiddle to Phoenix in a lot of ways nationwide. And I think Lute Olson made us feel like, no, we don't have to take a backseat to Phoenix just because they have 4 times the population, and we matter in basketball now, and we hope we matter again in football. I think it's worth pointing out, Jason, that Dave Hickey said today he's got over 100 RSVPs from former players and coaches and alumni that are going to come for the tribute on Sunday. I think that says a lot. As you mentioned, this Lute passed away over a year ago now, and yet on a Sunday in September, we're going to see over 100, alum of the Arizona basketball program show up to pay their respects. That says a tremendous amount about what Lute Olson meant to a lot of people.
For sure. And on that note, I think we're going to sign off here for our very first huddle, brought to you by Desert Diamond Casino. Pat Parris, this was our first one. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing this all fall. We'll have some special guests, and I think after this one, people are going to know about it a little bit more, and we'll get some more. Get some more comments and some questions, and I don't know if we can take phone calls, but we can take comments.
It'll be that version of phone calls.
Exactly.
It'll be the questions on the screen, and we appreciate all the questions. We've gotten some more coming in, but we're going to sign off now. We'll get to them next week, but it's been fun, Jason. Can't wait till next week.
All right, Pat. All right, so for Pat Parris, I am Jason Barr. This has been The Huddle, brought to you by Desert Diamond Casino. We will see you next Thursday at this time at 3 o'clock. Until then, see you later.